Well, Patrick Cook here. So welcome to session 14 of our Mandelbulb Epic Rendering tutorial series. In the last session, session 13, that was our lucky session, we were talking about when you probably wouldn't want to use the Big Render capability that you have here in Mandelbulb, the tiling, okay? All right, so we got that pretty clear. That's when you wouldn't want to, but now when would you want to? Well, I can think of several use cases. One, you want a still output that is of a high resolution so that you have more pixel information by which to apply quality related settings. You want some color correction. You might want to do some cropping. You might do some exposure corrections. Maybe work on the shadowing a little bit. All right, and kind of tweak it in. You want to avoid sharpening. All right, you really don't want to sharpen an image any more than you absolutely have to, all right, because that gets in there and it plays with the pixels. And over sharpening is an easy state to get into. So if you have a high resolution image, ideally, you're taking your image for whatever your destination is, and you're probably making it smaller. When you make it smaller, you close the pixels in. You close the pixels in more, and you can avoid, eliminate, or reduce sharpening by doing that. Slight reduction in size, which brings the pixels closer together, which gives you an effect of sharpening. All right, so one use case is you render at a high resolution so that you have the room, you have the bandwidth to be able to apply quality related adjustments to the image. Another use case that I can think of is, well, you want to do a big print. You want to send it out to a printer and you want a big print. And what you get back is this massive 30-inch or 40-inch or 50-inch picture that you put up on your wall. And boy, I'll tell you that, you get a really good Mandelbulb graphic up there, and you get it to that size, and the company comes over, your family comes over, and they just, wow. All right, a unique graphic you don't normally see, the Mandelbulb. Something that you're proud of, you worked hard on, and now it's prominently displayed. And the thing is, you can get there fairly easily by using the big rendering tool within the Mandelbulb application. So, creating a graphic that you can send out to a physical print vendor, all right, and get back something that you'll really be happy with. So that would be another use case as to when you might want to use the big render capabilities of the Mandelbulb application. Now, you could do all of that. You could render small or smaller, use some software to upscale it, and then ship that upscaled image file out to your printer vendor. I always say go with your native rendered pixels from the source, the renderer, rather than trying to upscale with another software at another process. Try to stay with natural rendered pixels rather than interpolating new pixels into it. All right, moving on. Another use case that I can think of for a large high-resolution render would be, well, let's say that I wanted to create a video, but without creating all of the thousands of frames. All right. It's a pretty interesting little technique. Let me see if I can just show you kind of an example. Let's say, yeah, okay, I think we can do this. Let's say, all right, so I'm just looking at the output from that image J, that merging software that we did, I don't know, 3 or 4 sessions ago. This is it, okay? And so this is like 27,000 frames wide, and I'm sorry, pixels wide. It's a big, big image. Now, what if I wanted to simulate an animation? All right. So here's how you do it. Your viewing area, let's say, is 19,200 by 1080. That's your standard high definition HD. All right, that's your target resolution output from the video. And you wanted to simulate panning around. So I can just kind of fake it here by using this picture viewer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. All right, I'm going to zoom in. Now let's say let's simulate panning across this image. What I would have my video editor software do is I would have it move it like this, shift the position. All right, and if you just ignore my hand here, okay, you would get something like this, where you can actually kind of simulate an animation by moving or panning across the image. All right, but in order to do this, you need to have an image which is larger than the output viewing area of your video. For instance, if I did this here, now I've got my left mouse button down here and I can't pan. All right, but if I go like this, you see now I can pan. All right, so if I was to really have a very high quality image, I mean, I could do a nice pan like this, and I could pan across, and I could zoom in and out with my video editor. You see, I can pan over and simultaneously zoom in. You see, now it's a little flat, all right, because I'm not moving my camera on the z-axis in and out. I'm just simply zooming a flat. But there's all kinds of ways that you can use your video editor, if you have a good editor, to simulate depth. I mean, I can put bokeh into that. I can have the background blurred. I can change the lighting. I can do all kinds of things. And the point is that what I can do with a high resolution still image is that I can actually kind of simulate an animation, but without getting into the thousands of frames where I would basically be able to pan across. Now there's limitations, all right? I don't have the shadow movement. I don't have lighting movement that you would get in an animation. It's a little flat, and I would have to do some adjustments to kind of make it have the feeling of more depth. I'm limited on my z-axis. I mean, I can only go in so far before I've lost quality, so I'm limited. All right, you know, but the point is that you may have an application where you just will take a still high resolution image and pan over it, simulating an animation. You may very well have an application for that, or it may be part of an application or a presentation that you might do. All right. that's another use case for why a high resolution could be useful. So in this session, I talked about having high quality so that you have the leeway for quality adjustments. And I talked about, what did I talk about? What was the second use case? Where I start with something big, but I downscale it, and so I'm not upscaling. So I'm avoiding upscaling, and I avoid sharpening, stuff like that. I also talked about simulating an animation by panning over a higher resolution still image. Okay. All right, so that's enough for now. A little over time on this session, but I wanted to talk about use cases for when. Oh, the other thing I talked about too is sending it out to the printer for a wonderful print that comes back and goes on your wall as a trophy to remind you just how creative you can get with these Mandelbulb graphics. All right, I'll see you in the next session, session number 15, and we'll continue this discussion about rendering high resolution right from the Mandelbulb 3D software. I'll see you there.